Good one,
Trails
Taylor.
off.
I want to talk about the economy for a second. I don't know if I hope,
What the hell?
No, it
Well,
makes
this is
perfect
something
sense
I'm
to
very well versed
transition.
in.
no.
Honestly, yes, we're all suffering at some
I
point.
filthy B.
Bill Gates has
Yeah.
come out and says, as things get back to semi-normal, it's impossible to overstate the pain that lies for years ahead. Mark Cuban has come out and said that like people are underestimating just how dramatic the impact to the economy is going to be and how long it's going to take to get back.
Mhm.
For me, nothing's changed. It's like almost weird that like
No
outside the world has flipped around. I'm just sitting
No
here
one-
playing Tarkov, making PKA episodes like I always do, and I feel like I couldn't have my thumb on the pulse of what's happening out there any less. And
do you mind? All right, so obviously because we live in very different communities, right?
Sure.
It is glaringly apparent for me every day because I have a dog. I have to walk him multiple times a day. It's glaringly apparent living where I live in Hollywood, like the severity of this. For the first time, so we've been in quarantine, like lockdown. You can't do shit for 45 days now. And I have like a local grocery store. I go there. They put up like plexiglass walls. There's markings on the floor how close you can stand close to the cash register. There's, like the whole works. I'm sure everybody understands it now. I drove to Malibu just to drive my car. I just wanted to leave and drive, and it took me half the time in total to go all the way to Malibu and back to where I am. Not a soul on the beach because they're closed. Like it is very eerie, almost like Walking Dead-esque, where anytime that I'm up in the morning walking my dog, I live on a super busy street. There's no cars. It's nothing. Like it is a shocking. Right. No, for me, you're right. It actually is. I get to sleep with my window open now because my next door neighbors who run a landscaping company don't have to get in their car at 4:30 in the morning and start it up, right? And I'm in an apartment complex, so I hear that shit. So like it's very much I think that maybe where you live and you have like my parents are the same way.
Woody's compound, you're saying?
Right, yeah, in his compound. My parents live in Durham, and they're like, "Oh, we walk around every night. Like it's pretty normal." Like,
can I jump in? There's more foot traffic by my house than normal. Like the way my house is on the edge of this neighborhood, if you
I've
were
seen
to
the
go,
same thing. Yeah.
if you were to go for a walk, you might, walk around my house in that street. And I'm mowing. I'm like, damn, like, it's to say it's packed is a wild exaggeration, but like, there's lots of people. Couples walking their dogs. Like everyone's sort of getting outside, and the way that they do it is they walk around my house. But it's fine. It's no big deal. But like, I don't know. I'm
my
just kinda
neighborhood is the same way.
insulated.
Like I see way more people walking around with their dogs, jogging, like the paths around, my house in the woods and stuff. Like, yeah, they're packed.
They have nice
packed,
like city
but they're not
street
packed
paths.
though. You gotta realize that a lot of people don't like you using the word packed is very different in a suburb. Packed is like you see somebody walk in front of your house every 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Right. They're like packed in the middle of a city, way different, So I think that people who can have the luxury of leaving their home and like being at an acceptable social distance are taking advantage of it. I know my parents are doing just that. Like they're walking 5 times a day. I'm like, okay, yeah, fair. I can do that, but there's much more dense population. So, I like for us, we're really lucky. Twitch and YouTube has been actually really, really good in the last couple months, even though like all of my physical hosting gigs have gotten canceled, which suck because they pay the best. But you're right. Like it is kind of weird to be in a position where like your industry, esports, anything like digital content creation, kind of thriving in its own way, and really like bringing a bunch of people who weren't necessarily into tech, like Zoom conferences for your entire college class, etc. Like it's doing a good job onboarding new people that are going to use the internet differently post.
But I'm pretty interested in figuring out what isn't going to go back to normal, right? That's the stuff like we don't know now. We're like a couple months in, right?
I cannot wait for face masks everywhere. All right. Like we're long overdue, man. Asia got that right ages ago. Like airports, there's not a chance you're going to see me sitting in an airplane packed in with sardines without a face mask. I understand that like there's numerical, like it's not going to be 100%, but like really though, the way that we were operating,
They're too small for my head.
oh, face masks.
Yeah.
No, you just
I
got.
can't tell if you're joking, Taylor. Help me out.
Use two. That'll be fine.
Taylor
Yeah,
grabs a
the big one.
T-shirt.
Tie the whole thing around. Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be like pre 9/11, post 9/11, right? Like flying before 9/11, where you.
But I
just,
think it's going to be like in a bunch of industries we don't expect, right? Like that's what's going to be interesting
What are
to
you
me. Is
thinking
in
of,
like
Phil?
6
Like
months,
what,
what's going to be
though?
different?
Restaurants are going to get small restaurants are fucking hosed, and I feel like we're going to come out of this and it's going to be like, where do you want to go? PF Chang's or TGI
Really?
Fridays?
I don't think that. I think
I
we're
think
going to
it's
see a
the
lot of
other way
takeout.
around.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think you're
maybe.
going to see.
So I have a friend who runs a. This is incredibly niche story, so take it with a very big grain of salt.
Mhm.
My friend owns a bagel place in LA. They make all their bagels in house. This place is fucking slammed on the weekends. Like I will not go there on the weekends because it's everybody's hangover. Like let's go get some breakfast bagels.
Currently or before?
Before,
Okay.
prior
Yeah,
to the quarantine. Since then, I love bagels so much, man. I used to get like 3-4 times a week. I would get like some combination of bagels and coffee from this place. I have only been there twice since then. However, their individual orders have decreased, but the profit, it's like a weird metric. The way that he described it was like the profit that we are earning per hour is double, if not triple, what we would be earning previously. It's just that they are paying their employees more for risk at risk pay. They have to shell out a little bit more for advertising for like delivery services. They hired a delivery guy who now drives around. So like it's not for that specific very niche company, it's not bad or good, it's just different. I don't think that you're going to see a lot of people going into Cheesecake Factory if they lift the quarantine, right? Like a 500 person restaurant, but I do think you'll see more likely people eating at local restaurants where they're like, we only allow 30 people in here and you have to sit 6 feet away. I think there's going to be more of like a tight, if it's available.
I think
Because
Well,
it's
two
not a-
things.
that's
That.
not a
First of all,
onto
there was
something.
a study coming out somewhere talking about air conditioning in a restaurant, spreading it beyond the 6-foot shift,
Recycled
which is
air.
pretty shit. Yeah. But the second thing I think about that is I think you might see restaurants that open that are never designed to be eaten in, right?
You mean like
Like-
straight up takeout only, or
Yeah, yeah.
like
Yeah,
privatized?
exactly.
on a
I think
related
that's gonna
note,
be
Filthy,
much more of that.
I think you're right. And like Postmates is one of our sponsors tonight. I could imagine them getting a lot of new customers that like once they've broken that seal, they remain customers afterwards. Maybe they go out sometimes, but once they try it, then maybe now they do it 3 times a week and they do it once a week.
I'm one of those
some other-
people.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a vaccine in about 18 months, and this is not going to be a worry at all.
No,
In
but
a
no,
year and a half from now,
no.
though.
I agree that there is going to be or I would love for there to be a vaccine, and I would love for there to be a return to some semblance of normalcy. But I find it hard to believe that as of right now, like if we get a vaccine and everything, I find it hard to believe that people are not going to take. What it's like when you overcorrect too much, like it's going to shift everybody to the
Yeah,
more
this is changing how people
conscientious-
behave.
I
Yeah.
absolutely disagree with that. I think all you have to
Really?
do is look at the news or I don't know, the internet, and you'll see tons of people in parks and stuff having to be arrested. I saw Karen get arrested at a
I
playground.
saw
last-
Karen get it. Yeah, I just watched that like before I came on. But do you not think that is selection bias? Because when I drove,
I think that's how people feel.
Really? Because I
think-
thought the polls were showing something like 80% of people support the continued lockdown.
sure
So
they
that means
support
you're
it.
seeing much.
but
Sure,
that's
absolutely they do.
temporary.
For now, we're talking about next year though, right? We're talking about like you guys are talking about long-lasting ramifications. We talked about 9/11 and
Right.
how
Right.
things are still not the same. Before
I find
9/11, you could just jump on that airplane. You didn't think you could run in an airport. You see a guy running in an airport right now. You are taking your own fucking life in your hands. They don't think he's trying to get to a flight quickly. They think bomb. Nobody took their shoes off before 9/11. Things are never going back to the same as far as that goes. With this, however, I really do think
You're
as soon as there's a
nuts.
vaccine for this,
You know what I think
I
this
think
is?
I'm
If I
going
could
right
jump
back.
in, I feel like this is a red versus blue thing, and I say that by looking at my Facebook. Right, the liberals are all like, "Stay quarantined, stay inside." They could flatten the curve, and the rootin' tootin' Confederate flag wearing gun toting guys are like, this thing is a fraud. This virus
You only
is
had
not
the
as
one
big a
brush,
deal.
huh?
Yeah,
He's not wrong. I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, you should see him. Like that is what I see on my Facebook. Like there's kind of a political divide when it should.
I mean,
be
you've got a
kinda
gaggle of
science-based.
retards on your Facebook.
Yeah, what's bigger than a gaggle?
I have been shocked. I've been fucking shocked at the number of people who've forgotten how germ theory works, right? Like, like I didn't feel like this. I mean, yes, there's some political elements to how it's being politicized, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this isn't rocket science understanding this as the fucking bystander, right? This is a disease. It spreads. It spreads through the normal way that diseases spread.
Right.
This is pretty
Sounds
clear
like
how this
liberal
fucking works.
propaganda to me, Filthy.
No. All right. What the meaningful changes that I'm specifically talking about are ones that are inherently limited to large mass gatherings. Like, as somebody who goes to a lot of concerts and shows, I will continuously be wearing. This was already very prevalent in that community. Wear a face mask, right? Like, that is now just going to be a reality. I don't think that you're going to see people anybody who is going to live through this and is like, that was fun, I guess we're back to normal. I don't think that there's any there's nothing that any virus is going to do short of killing everyone they know that's going to change the way that they behave in public spaces. But I do really believe that from my friend group and the general people of my age in Los Angeles. So again, very small sample size, very interesting group of people. Not a single person that I've talked to is like, yeah, no, we're definitely going to just go back to normal. Every single person has some drawback or some reassessment of how they're going to live post all this.
Does anyone
Generational
it's almost less of a, well, there is some political divide. That's true. But I'm seeing an age divide more than anything for it.
It's definitely more age.
Young people are like, hey, we should probably stay at home and make this a really bad quarantine that really harms the economy, but we mostly, level the curve, and then we come back and it's not a huge resurgence. Whereas older people are like, just fucking do it now. It'll be fine. It'll be okay. And it's
I think it's middle-aged people.
Switzerland did it.
I agree. It's middle-aged.
It's middle-aged people. It's boomers.
It's not the 80 plus. It's the boomers. I love you to death, Mom and Dad. I just talked to you today. You guys fucking idiots.
You were so scared when I talked to you. I was so proud. My mom cried. When I saw Dad and I saw his hands tremble, I saw that weakness in him. I knew that's good, Dad. That's good, Dad. He's staying quarantined. I know he is. No, but you're right though. It's the boomers.
And your parents aren't, though, Tucker?
No, boomers.
I mean, to an extent,
how old is a boomer?
Yeah, baby boomers. We're
Boomer
talking
over 16 at the moment on Twitch. So
yeah, right. I'd say tentatively anybody over the age of 50 and below the age of 70. That's the core group of people.
To me,
what do you
40
think,
to
Kyle?
55. That's the core group of
That's
people.
literally not a boomer. That's why I asked.
Boomers
Welcome to the internet.
Right.
Boomer is a state of mind.
Consideration that anyone calling people boomers cares about.
40 to I think 40 to 55, because at 40 you're still young
So
enough
Gen
to be
Xers.
like, this is,
yeah.
and you've got your own ideas. But by 55, you're still think you're young and healthy enough to fight off a virus. But by 60, you're like, whew.
No,
I mean,
my parents are 66 and 62, and my grandparents who are 88 and 90.
Christ.
My
good
grandma,
for you.
they've been quarantined. They're in North Carolina too, and gave them a call for their birthday. And my grandma, who's very not loose in general, gets on the phone, just goes, well, Tucker, I think I'm probably going to die if I catch this. So if this is the last time I talk to you, I love you. And I was like, that's the most coherent thing you've ever said. And it's she's just making gallows humor jokes about it, convinced he's
Cool
dead
grandma.
if she gets it.
Yeah, I like it.
Right. But that's not the typical response.
I
And
hope I
thought to
do
my
get
mom,
it. I'm going to go on that rampage I always talked about.
run down to Harris Teeter and just touch all the
You
fruits.
just touch everything.
Man, you're thinking of rabies. It's totally different.
Do you know rabies is 100% deadly? Like we talk about.
If you don't get it,
if
cured,
untreated.
it's fucked.
Yeah.
Actually,
But it's a long lead in. Right?
Well, there's a point where there is no treatment for it, I believe.
Yeah. If it gets to
but
a critical
that's the thing.
mass, It like you could show up at the doctor and still not be totally fucked, and they'll just tell you like, yeah, this is too late. Sorry, you're gonna die of rabies. Like, there's just no way to stop it.
Can't you try?
It's crazy. It's like, can you get rid of go?
You got any of them stem cells?
We're just
What
gonna
you
put
need
you
is
in
a
a
vet.
cage.
What you need is a vet. Yeah. Some bat antibody. That's something that aren't bats one of those animals that it's
Try
like
cooking
all
a
of them
bat
have rabies.
and a platypus.
No,
together.
Yeah,
but they
no,
do-
no,
they
it's
can
not
be
all, but
carriers
it's a
for it.
a
yeah.
ton of them, like way more than other kinds of animals.
Yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like
I think
if you get tagged by a bat,
raccoons.
that's the thing. Always.
God, I read some article it was referring to. They're like, yeah, the bird population is a reservoir for the coronavirus. And I'm like, oh, fuck birds. We don't need them.
yeah,
Yeah.
fuck birds.
What
I
you
think-
mean, government drones?
Here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
You can't fuck with ecosystems because I bet.
I know.
This
Watch
is,
us.
This is just me. This is just me talking here. But like, what if they were like, yeah, these bats are carrying these viruses. Let's kill all the bats. And they kill the bats, and then you realize, oh shit, bats ate their body weight in mosquitoes every night. Now we've got so many mosquitoes, and they're spreading this new plague. I think that you need the bats. What you
We
need to
need them.
do
We
is
need 'em.
leave the bats alone.
Did you see the thing about letting
Stop.
wolves come back?
Yeah, I saw that thing about
Oh, the
wolves coming back,
Yellowstone.
yeah.
The Yellowstone.
The
Wait, did you
beavers, the
read
otters, the
same thing?
muskrats, the birds.
Yeah.
They
I
changed
don't know
everything.
if the
Yeah.
thing I saw said where. It could have been Yellowstone. But
Yellowstone.
was
It was Yellowstone. They introduced 12 wolves back in the ecosystem and completely changed the entire topography. Not topography.
Yeah.
You know,
like
Mountains were
I
raised.
usually hear about. Yeah.
they
That's
built a
right.
fucking volcano out there.
the wolves were wild.
I know Blade Truth is coming, but yeah, it was amazing. I would if you had told me, hey, we introduced wolves and then wolves ate the coyotes and suddenly the rabbits did better. I'd be like, oh, okay, I get it. But no, there was so much. Like birds
was
were
way
coming
better.
back, plants were coming back. These wolves were so essential to this place, and it was pretty cool.